Hello, Hopewell families. It's Miss Jenny again, coming to you on a Therapeutic Thursday. I just wanted to send another video out, kind of checking to see where everybody's at. I love you guys. I miss you guys. And I want you to stay healthy during this time of uncertainty. And boy, are we certainly in those uncertain times. Right now, there are lots of things going on, lots of information that's out there. And that information, as adults, we may understand, but there's a lot of stuff that the kids don't understand and a lot of terms floating around. And we probably need to explain some of those terms to our children, like quarantine and shelter in place and epidemic and words like that. So I encourage you to talk to your children and to help them to understand what those terms actually mean. One thing that I want us to consider is helping our children to keep their feelings in check. During these times of uncertainty, there are certainly lots of feelings that the kids could be having. And boys and girls, we want you to understand that feelings are a natural part of life. Everybody has feelings and everybody has different feelings when it comes to each situation. So you may be feeling sad when somebody else is feeling mad, and you're not understanding why they are mad when you're sad. But we need to understand that everybody's different and everybody has a different perception of what's going on and a different way of coping with those things that are going on around them. So in these times of uncertainty, we need to remember that, number one, our feelings are our feelings. And number two, for our perception, those feelings should be seen as valid. Some of the feelings that we might be having during these times while we're at home and there's that constant feeling of maybe not being attached, that change in schedule, not seeing our friends, not seeing our teachers, not being able to interact in sports and other activities that we normally engage in, not being able to go to town to go out to eat. Those all represent big changes in our lives, and we all have different feelings about those. So as we're looking at the changes that are going on, and we're looking at how do we deal with some of these feelings that we're having about the changes, let's take a couple of those feelings. For example, let's say that today you got up and well, you're particularly sad because this might be a day where you were supposed to have Mrs. McChesney for gym and maybe Mrs. Burris for music right after that. And you're not going to get to do those things. That's the kind of change that sometimes will hit us and make us sad to think about. So some things that you can do when you're feeling sad, you can call and talk to a friend. You can FaceTime, you can text. You could talk to your parents about feeling sad and what that means for you. You could talk to whoever your adult is that you're with if your parents are still having to go to work. Talking about especially feelings of sadness tends to lift that burden and make us feel better. Some other things that we can do is we can write them down. We can write our feelings down. You can start a journal and start writing every day about this journey of change and this journey of not being around the people that you care a lot about, your friends, your teachers, other family members. So you can write them down, keep that in a journal, and then who knows, 10 years from now, you can look back on that and say, wow, that was certainly a time of change and different circumstances, but we made it through. And part of making it through could have been that journaling. Something else that you can do is you can draw pictures. Certainly you can draw pictures of the time that you're spending at home. Maybe you're playing lots of games. Maybe you're playing with the animals more. Maybe part of your day is you're learning how to garden. You can draw pictures of all of that and share those pictures Maybe you could take a picture of your picture and send it to your teacher if your teacher has that capability of receiving pictures. You can listen to music. A lot of times when I'm feeling sad, I like listening to music, and that just gives me a different perspective on things. So those are some uplifting things that you can do maybe when you're not feeling as happy as you feel like you should. And speaking of happy, it may be that you're feeling happy, that being at home and not having a routine, not having a schedule, so to speak, getting to do your work at home, spending extra time with your family and your animals, and just kind of hanging out. That might be your thing, and that you might be happy as a clam at home. So again, some things that you can do when you're happy. You can sing a song and record it. You could keep a journal. Journaling is good for just about any feeling. You could play outside if it's not raining. Right now it's not raining at my house. It's a little bit chilly, but I noticed that the dogs were outside playing, and that's something that they've not been doing much of here lately. In fact, the neighbor dog came over. I do have to say that they were not keeping their social distance like they should have. But dogs don't get coronavirus, according to what I'm hearing. So they were outside playing. Other things that you can do, you can talk to your parents when you're happy. You can talk to your friends on the phone or FaceTime when you're happy. We know all those things that we can do when we're happy. We can draw pictures when we're happy. So a lot of the same things that you were doing for maybe feeling sad, you can do when you're feeling happy too. But what about those times where, you're feeling a little unsure, kind of puzzled, kind of weird feeling, kind of worried about what's going to happen next? Am I going to get to see my friends? Am I going to get to see my teacher? Am I ever going to get to go back to school and go to a guidance lesson or go to the computer lab? Those are all valid questions. And another question is, am I going to get it? Am I going to get the coronavirus? Well, if we're following the rules that the leaders of our country are setting forth for us, and if we're listening to our parents and we're staying in and we're washing our hands and we're doing all the things that we're supposed to be doing, the odds of you getting the coronavirus are very, very low. Now, back to that feeling of worry. What are some things that we can do when we're worried? Well, again, a lot of the things that we've already talked about are things that you can do when you're worried. You can write it down. You can journal it. You can draw a picture about it. You can talk to friends. You can talk to your parents. Boys and girls, if there's one thing that I always like to make sure that you remember is that you can always talk to your parents. Just say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm kind of feeling worried about this, and I really would like to talk about it with somebody. Do you have just a minute so that we can talk about this? And then parents, you can share your feelings with your child too, and you can work through some of these things together. Sometimes when I'm really worried, I like to distance myself just a little bit, just to think about, what is real? What is the thing that's worrying me, and why does it worry me? And again, those are things that you can get help from your parents to kind of work through and flesh out and see, because a lot of times fear comes from not knowing the facts. So the more information that you can give anyone, quite likely the less fear there will be. Now, parents, you have to temper that information that you're sharing, of course, but our children want to know some information. So boys and girls, if you feel like there's information that you're missing and that might be causing some fear, ask your parents, ask the people that you're staying with, whether it's grandparents or foster parents or aunts and uncles, whoever's taking care of you during this time. Talk to them. Get the right information, and that will help decrease your anxiety. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to share. Going back to our feelings, okay? When I'm feeling sad, I'm thinking blue, okay? You notice window cleaning. Okay, sometimes when I'm sad, I do lots of housework. So blue is the color that I think of when I'm thinking of sadness. Now, when I'm thinking of being happy, I'm thinking orange. Of course, you all know that I love orange. And right now, one of the ways that we can stay healthy, keep your hands clean. The antibacterial soap is a wonderful place to start. It doesn't have to be soft soap, but antibacterial soap. And again, my happy color is orange. Now, when I start feeling kind of anxious and kind of worried, my color is green. Okay, this isn't a real true green, but it's a greenish blue color. Hope it comes through like that on the video. But yeah, I think green when I'm feeling the most anxious. And of course, you'll notice that I have the cleaning type of mentality going on. So I chose cleaners, and that's just one way that I've chosen to deal with everything that's going on, is making sure that everything's clean and safe for my family. So what are some other things that we can do during this time other than just talk about our feelings and try to get through? Well, one thing that I want you to remember is, of course, your feelings are your feelings. But the way that we get through this is by practicing some of the things that I've talked about, okay? You've heard people say practice makes perfect. Well, perfect practice makes perfect. But the more you practice something, odds are you should be getting better at it if you're practicing it correctly. So, what does all that have to do with what we're talking about? Boys and girls, if you're practicing when you feel sad to talk about it and to write things down, if you're doing that on a regular basis, that practice that you do is training your brain about how to do it, how to get past the sadness for the future. The more skills you build toward dealing with the feelings that you're having, the better off you're going to be in the future. Okay, it's like a baseball player. Okay, if I'm a pitcher for a baseball team, I don't just pitch on the day of the game. I have to spend lots of time practicing and practicing and practicing, because there's lots of different pitches that I could throw. I could throw a curveball, I could throw a slider, I could throw a fastball or a knuckleball. But all of those different types of pitches deserve and require practice. There's a certain way to hold the ball. There's a certain way to release the ball. And if I don't practice those skills, then I'm not going to be good at that particular pitch. And then when the game comes and I'm trying to pitch, if I'm not practiced up on my pitches and I try to throw a curveball, the end result may be that the ball goes in the dirt, the ball goes past the catcher, the ball hits the umpire, the ball hits the batter. Those are all things that a pitcher doesn't want to see happen. So it's extremely important to put the work in and to do some of these skills and do some of these practices, so that when you need to get past a certain feeling, or you need help with a certain feeling that you've practiced up, and your brain says, hey, I know how to do that. I've practiced this for a long time, back when we had the coronavirus. So we've got to practice. Make sure that you're practicing some of these skills in dealing with your feelings on a daily basis. And if you see your loved one and they're maybe having a hard time dealing with something, you can share some of these ways of dealing with their feelings with them. So let's all try practicing to get better with handling our feelings. I hope that this information has been valuable. I hope that you are practicing the methods that have been set forth, keeping our hands clean, not touching our face, making sure that we're keeping our social distance, not going out unnecessarily as far as around crowds. I know restaurants are not, for the most part, accepting dine-in patrons. So I know it's drive-through. I think that's probably a good thing just to keep the passage of germs down. I know that places like Lowe's and Home Depot, they're still open. And I know lots of people are going because I've driven past there. If we're avoiding those large crowds, the likelihood of getting the coronavirus is going to be better. But keeping clean, as far as getting our hands washed, using hand sanitizer. If you do have maybe some seasonal allergies going on, things like that, let's cover that sneeze and that cough. And then make sure that you're washing your hands again if you're coughing and sneezing. Remember that if you need to get in touch with me, you can use my school email, and that's jbwilson@bradleyschools.org. And if you have questions, certainly you can email me. If you have praises or problems, either one, you can get with me through my email. And I look forward to that. I look forward to us being back in school and getting back into our routine and having that sense of normal stuff going on. Make sure that you're keeping up with your work. Make sure that you're keeping up with the food deliveries. Also, we have food that's outside of the school. There's some canned goods out there. If you're in need, you can stop by and get those, and we will continue to have work packets for each grade level out in the stackers. Boys and girls, I know that all of our faculty and all of our staff members miss you. The next time you see one of our cafeteria ladies, you need to thank them, because they have spent countless hours making sure that the meals that are being handed out are getting to you, and that you have those types of things that you need. I guess that's all for now. I will have more information for you. Maybe there'll be another video. We're not sure yet, but this will be our Therapeutic Thursday for week 2.